Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Meganadha. In this module we talk about how to write a simple if condition and how to write simple if else condition. So now we are going to start with programming. So every program that we do, please make sure that you practice in Eclipse IDE and you see the output for the same code that you have written. So let's see the first example for if else condition. Let's see this. Now let's take I have a requirement to check whether the given number, in this case input 5, is a even number or not. So first what I have to do, if a number is even or odd, I have to check with 2, and if the remainder is 0, I have to print even number. Else, that means if this condition is not satisfied, else I have to print its odd number. So this is how you have to write a simple if condition, and where only I have if else, only two options. Now let's do this in Eclipse IDE and let's get started. So now remember, now we're going to learn if else condition and if else condition as well in this module. So let's get started. Now I just opened Eclipse IDE and I have showing us lesson 10 package. So I just want to close this project because we are working on now lesson 14. So what I'll do is I'll close the project. So all you have to do is right click on this and close the project. So I just closed it and it's gone. Now I'll create here lesson 14 project. So file, new, Java project. And in case if you don't see the Java project there, what you can do is file new. In case if you don't see Java project, you have to select project here and select this Java project, click next. And I'm going to write here lesson 14 project and click next. And I don't want to create module info, uncheck this option, and everything is fine, click on finish. Now I just created the project here, so you can see here I have this src. The first thing that we used to do all the times is we used to create the package first. Right click on this add new package. Now remember, package names normally we start with lowercase letter, so that's the reason why I'm writing here lesson 14 package. So always package names we start with lowercase letters and click finish. Now once I add the package, I need to add a class. So class names normally start with uppercase, so new class, and I have to write here lesson 14. Okay, now I want main method, so I have to select this public static void main. I need main method here, click finish. So I just created this. Now as usual, first we'll do this ordering, so always make sure that the closing and opening and closing brackets on the same line, so that's the standard some companies follow. And let me delete this. Now here also I'm deleting the space. Now these two things are called comments. So we're going to talk about comments in the further modules. There are a few types of comments in Java programming. We're going to talk about that later. So let me remove this. Now first what I have to do here, I need to read a number from the user and check if it is even or odd number. So if I want to read a number from user, I have to create object for a scanner class because I have to scan from the user. So what I do now, first thing I have to do is variable declaration. Now what are the variables that I need to declare? I need to read something from the user, int input, and I also need to declare object for scanner because I need to read something from the user. So scanner obj is equal to new scanner and system.in. Now remember, I have written scanner case properly, yes, capital and scanner. So only when you write correct case as well, then when you move the mouse on this, you'll find this import scanner java.util. If you write here yes smaller letter, and if you try to move the mouse on this, you may not get that option. So it's suggesting to create a class because it is thinking that it's not there in the Java framework. So Java API lowercase scanner is not there, so you have to write uppercase scanner. Now when you write this uppercase scanner, it suggests, IntelliJ suggests that you have to import scanner. Now when I click on this, it just adds this package, and I'm importing only one class from this package. If someone asks you scanner is present in which package, the answer is java.util. And inside java.util package, there are so many classes, and one class is scanner, which we are using for now. So we're done with variable declaration. Input is for storing the number, and scanner is for reading the data from the user. And next thing we have to do is we need to write read data from user. This is a comment now, so I'm just writing read data from user. And this is just a comment. So this comment indicates what I'm doing in the next lines. This comment indicates that so if someone sees this code, they will understand, okay, variable declaration is this, reading data from user is this. That's the purpose of comments. And comments are ignored by the compiler. So whatever you want, you can write inside this double slash. Even if you write like this, compiler will just ignore it. The main purpose of comments is just if someone else is seeing the code for readability and to understand the code that you have written, someone else can understand it when you write some comments, right? So now I'm writing here, read data from user. How do we read it? First, we have to ask user to enter some value. So I'll write here SYSO control space and write here enter any number. Now I'll be writing here, and I have to read this. Whatever user enters, I have to read it. So I have to write input is equal to obj dot next. Because it's an integer, I'm just putting next int. So whatever user enters, that will be stored in input. Now I have to write an if condition. So let's write it. If input modulo 2 equal to 0. So for checking whether the result is equal to 0 or not, we have to use double equals to. Okay, now we learned in operators. So this is a relational operator which tells the relation between two operands, and we are comparing whether the two values are equal or not. So remember not to use single equals to. Single equals to is used to assign the value but not to compare the values. Now I have to write here SYSO control space, and I have to write here even number. And I just need to write else if that condition is not satisfied, SYSO control space odd number. Okay, so we're done with a simple program. Now let's run the code and let's see if it works or not. So let me minimize this like this, and we have written the code. So variable declaration, read data from user, and we can write here the business logic. Okay, so we are good with this program. Let's run the code and let's see what will be the output now. Let's run the code. Now click OK, and you can see here, so enter any number. I'm entering 9. Ideally 9 modulo 2 is 1, so it's an odd number. Enter. It's an odd number. So let me run the code once again. And now let's see here, if I enter, let's take 10 modulo 2 is 0, even number, so I'm getting even number. Okay, so we have written a simple program for reading a number from user and print if it is even or odd number. Okay, now what if I have a requirement like this? Now let's take, for example, I have a simple requirement. Let's try to give the requirement now. Let me open Notepad. So all of you have to practice this in Eclipse IDE and see the output whether getting it or not. Now the next requirement that I got is I have to read a number. So read a number from user, and if it is less than 4, print inverse, else print as invalid number. That means if user enters 2, I have to print output as 2. If user enters 3, I have to print output as 3. If user enters as 1, I have to print output as 1. So anything less than 4 is valid, and even 4 or above, anything more than 4 or above, I have to print as else. I have to print as invalid. If user enters 4, I have to print as invalid. Or even if user enters a 5 or something, anything more than 4 or equal to 4, if user enters 10, I have to print invalid. Right? So I need to write logic for this. So let's see how we can do it. And we'll be using if, else, if, else, if, else, if condition. So let's try to understand this. And what I'll do now, so first I'll write here input. I'm writing here input. I'm reading it from the user. Now I'm reading the data from the user here, input equal to next int. So here what I have to do is, I have to write like this, if. So if input is equal to 1, I'll be writing here SYSO 1. And remember, even you can write multiple if conditions, but that's not good. So see here, in this case, I can simply write like this. If it is 2, if it is 3, if it is greater than, so see here, I'm writing here equal to 2, I equal to 3, and input is greater than or equal to 4. That means if it is greater than or equal to 4. So here I can write like this, 2 and 3, and I can write here invalid. Now the problem with this code is, let's take if I enter 1. So it will check this condition. Condition is satisfied. It will print 1. Again it will check this condition. And it's not satisfied. Again it will check this condition. Again it will check this condition. So if you write multiple if conditions, the logic is right. Even if I run the code now, if I execute this code, now click OK. Now if I type here, let's say I'm typing here 4 and enter, I'm getting invalid. If I run the code now, if I enter here 3 or 2, enter, I'm getting answer as 2. It's working. But I should not be doing this, because every time, even if this condition is satisfied, it'll keep checking this, keep checking this, keep checking this, right? Which is not good. So instead, what you can do is you have to write here if input equal to 1, and you have to write here else if. Now, else if input equal to 2, that means if this is satisfied, it will not check again. Because this is satisfied, it will not check again. It will come outside this all conditions. Now I'll write here else if, and I'll write the last one. I'll be simply writing else. Now if this is not satisfying these conditions, it'll be else. So this way you can, this is still better written code using a switch case, which we'll see later. Now if I run the code now this is the best code. Now if I click OK, now I'm entering number as 2, enter, you can see 2. When I run the code again, now I'll write here 4 or 5, it give invalid. So I will be showing you how to debug this code in the next module. So we'll see how to debug the code. So debugging will help you understand more clearly about this if-else conditions and when you have to prefer which one. So first you have to write if, else if, else if. Last one should be else. If anything other than these conditions, we normally put last thing else, right? So I hope you are clear with writing simple if condition, else condition, and if else, if else, if else condition. In the next module, we'll see how to debug the code and how to understand how the code flow happens, right? So please practice this and see the output. That will give you a solid foundation. See you in the next module.